Hi, Brian Ellie for the Self-Made Athlete. Today's video is the first in a progression of 3 videos in which we'll be working on strength training for the teenage athlete. Now, it's very important with teenage athletes that when you have them in a gym or a weight room that they're conscious of why they're in there. You know, most of them may have misguided objectives like just wanting to get bigger, whereas if that doesn't really help you perform better on the field or the court, then what's the point? So I follow a strength training progression in which the objectives are, by the time we're finished, is increasing performance of play and decreasing injuries. Now, this is a strength training progression in which we're going to layer in strength by first establishing stabilization strength, then establishing absolute strength, and finally establishing speed strength, better known as power. And this way we're establishing a multi-dimensional level of strength rather than just one-dimensional strength, which a lot of young kids, they just do the traditional lifts and they don't really expand their comfort zones. We want to make sure we do that. We also want to make sure that we're training for movement, and we're always conscious of movement during all of our lifts and all our strength training programs, because that's what sports is all about. Now today we'll focus on stabilization strength, this first type of program in the pyramid leading towards power. And the objectives are, number one, we're going to stabilize joints, meaning that we're going to support and secure the joints like the shoulders, the hips, the knees, the elbows, the ankles, and activating those stabilizing muscles surrounding those joints. We're going to accomplish that by performing single leg and single arm activities. Also, we're going to integrate the core into all of our lifts. We're going to make sure it's active and firing in whatever movement we perform in this type of program, because we expect our athletes to have success, and to have success, their core needs to be active to help their bodies function properly. We're also going to make sure we focus on training in space. We're not going to put our athletes in fixed positions in this first stage of training, and we're also going to focus on deceleration, making sure that we're properly absorbing forces through all our movements, because ultimately the more forces you can absorb, the more forces you can eventually express. Okay, so what you're going to see today, you're going to see 5 different movements that I use in this stabilization strength program. You're going to see a stability ball single arm high chest press, a stability ball prone shoulder press, and then also take the stability ball out. You're going to see a single leg, single arm row. You're going to see a single leg squat reach, and a multi-planar lunge. So the first one here, stability ball single arm high chest press. It's going to be the stabilization strength version of like a bench press. So you'll see I'll be on the stability ball with my bridge exposed. That's forcing my core, my hips, my glutes, my hamstrings to all fire. And obviously I'm working a lot of chest here, but I've got a lot of other aspects working my body. Also, you'll see with me holding one dumbbell up high as I perform each movement, that's going to force the shoulder on the high arm to really be stabilizing throughout the movement. First, take my position on the ball. There's my bridge exposed, so my lower half and my core are firing. I'll take the dumbbells up high, make sure my head is supported on the ball. I'm decelerating under control, accelerating up with more force. My left arm now is stabilizing. Now that's a good primary chest movement, but you can see it's an integrated movement where not just the chest is working, we're stabilizing a lot of other parts of the body. Now the next movement, a prone shoulder press. I'll show you 2 ways to perform it. One being a little bit more elementary, the second being more advanced. Stability ball prone shoulder press. Dumbbells are up high. I can go 2 arms at a time here, and I can advance to 1 arm at a time. Really controlling the weight, working on shoulder stability, and then I can even take the stability ball out, make it that much harder, really activate my core, and while performing 1 arm at a time. Okay, so you're seeing elements there of shoulder stabilization, recruiting those stabilizers around the shoulder to fire, and get the core to work as well. The next movement, a dumbbell single leg, single arm row. I'm going to be in a single leg position, really expecting those stabilizers around my hip, knee and ankle to fire to hold my position. I'm going to put myself in a T position and then perform a row. Obviously more of a back movement primarily, but there's a lot of other parts of my body that have to be firing here. Take my T position, flatten my back out, have my shoulders back, and then perform the row. Okay, so you can see the back's pulling, but the lower half stabilizing, the core's firing to hold that position. Now a couple movements from the lower half, a single leg squat reach. Performed on one leg, dumbbell in the opposite hand. Got my squat down, trying to keep my trunk stable and move through my hips. Good for lower half stability, good for trunk stability in the process as well. Now the last one here is a multi-planar lunge. Multi-planar because we've got to make sure our athletes can move comfortably, not just north and south, can move around the dial. And also a big emphasis on the multi-planar lunge is the element of deceleration. So I'll change my planes or my angles here, always coming back to the starting position. And back, making sure the trunk is stable, making sure as I decelerate down, my hips go down, my knee doesn't go forward, and so I'm absorbing those forces. Okay, so that's the stabilization strength video in which we integrate the core, know our lifts, we stabilize the joints, we train in space, we train deceleration. The next video that you'll see will be transitioning to absolute strength. For more details on this, you can look at selfmadeathlete.com.